Well, let's talk about the game, Morgan.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, it felt like they were a step slow tonight, even from the start. And I think I was most disappointed by some of the defensive mistakes in the first half. And as I take a step back and look at the entire game, it makes the first half even more disappointing because of how they played much better defensively in the second half. So they give up 72 points in the first half. Stuff was too easy. I thought Trae Young got too many easy looks in that first half. And then the Kings could not get anything from their starters. It looked like guys who have been playing a lot of minutes on a second half of back-to-back, playing some close games lately. It felt like we had some heavy legs tonight. What did you see with this Kings loss?
Yeah, it was. I think the overall picture was like, whoa, these heavy legs are affecting them on both ends of the floor. Even your guys with their shooting ability and what they've been able to do on the offensive end, a lot of shots were short. Or even you're seeing with some of their drives, it was the attention to detail, just the rolling off the fingertips. It was a little soft. Things were a little softer. And not to take away anything from the Atlanta Hawks, because they did a good job of obviously having that presence in the paint. They have shot blockers in this game that are going to make life difficult. So if you can't make your outside shots and you got to bring it in, but then your legs are tired and heavy, just not a lot of things are going to work. And I felt like that was the overall angle of tonight.
Isn't it even more glaring, the lack of rim protection more glaring when you take on teams who do have it?
Yeah.
Like, you have that, like Jaren Jackson against Memphis last night. And tonight, it's Capella blocking 3 or 4 shots. Okongwu's going to come in and make life difficult. Just bigger guys. And it becomes more and more glaring, the Kings' like lack of size behind Sabonis. We already know Sabonis is not going to block a ton of shots. It's just not his game. He does so many great things out there. But behind him, you're in this position right now where you're playing Metu. That can be challenging. He had a really bad defensive first half, I thought. I thought he did much better later. But yeah, I just feel like it's more glaring when you go up against these other teams.
Yeah, especially because you go, oh, wow, these are a lot more mismatches. And then you want to be able to perform that same way on your defensive end. And the Kings did a great job of trying to battle it out. They won the rebounding battle 48-47, I believe, in this one, which is pretty, you just look at the way that they really put the effort in there to try and make sure that they made that a point of emphasis. Okay, how can we win the boards tonight? But there's just times where a guy like Capella just seems so dominant on the defensive end and was just contesting so many shots, making such a big difference for this Hawks defense in that paint, making life just so much more difficult, especially for a tired team.
The Hawks had 6 blocks in the game tonight. Ooh. Capella 11 and 14. He also had 4 offensive rebounds. Second chance points were pretty bad early, but the Hawks went ice cold in the second half, and they finished with 10 second chance points. So it wasn't devastating. But what was devastating is I just thought their job on Trae Young was awful in the first half. And I know how good Trae Young is. He's a really good player. He's got off to kind of a slow start this year. The last few games, he's starting to knock down his shots again and be like the Trae Young that we've seen. Trae Young is a tough shot maker, but when you give him he's walking in the mid-range jumpers, and it's that easy. You're not getting him off his spots. You're not playing physical. All of a sudden, he's getting in a rhythm. When I saw he had 17 points at the half and did not make a 3, I went, well, this is not good because he's going to knock down some of these shots. He's seen him go in. He got comfortable. And then what do you know? He's hitting deep threes. Fox has found him on a 3-point attempt. He's knocking down the shot. He got in a great rhythm, finishing with 35.
Yeah, he's one of the league leaders in driving it down the lane. Just a force, obviously, with the way that he can get into the paint. And it's not even about finishing at the rim. It's the way that he finishes in the paint or in the mid-range game. And you talk about some of those middies that he was hitting. There were some where it was just a defensive communication, right? Where it wasn't even like he was cooking and some guy was getting lost. It was everyone was a little lost at times. And That's going to happen, but it happened far too many times. And I go back to just where they were mentally, too. Mentally fatigued with so many little mistakes on the defensive end. It's like when you are just playing that tired mentally and physically, there's so much more that you have to focus on. And I get it. There's not going to be nights and times that you have it all, but that's why it was great too when the bench stepped up for the Sacramento Kings early on.
And these are the types of times in the season where like your guys might be tired a little bit. Was the Kings' first back-to-back since the stretch in the beginning of the season when they went with that Clippers-Warriors game back-to-back. So it's been a month since they've had a back-to-back. That's a luxury.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get a lot of those stretches where you go a month in between back-to-back. So the Kings have had some fortunate luck with like the schedule. So they get a back-to-back tonight. And their stars have been playing a lot of minutes, so I get it. These are the type of nights you want to count your depth. And that's why you give a lot of credit to me. Trey Lyles came in early in that quarter in the first. He scores 8 quick points. He was aggressive. How about Trey Lyles getting up?
I love to see it. I know we were talking about tweaks that could happen with the roster while watching the game and, just something where they were missing guys and what Trae Lyles was capable of doing. And then he had that play where he just got up above the rim and it was just like, okay, he has that in him. And then he has these moments like this where he steps up and understands like your energy, your legs, everything is needed right now in this moment. And I love to see that from him, but it wasn't only him.
Malik Monk.
There we go.
Shout out to our guy Shane in the chat, the biggest Malik Monk fan on the planet. There is not a night chat where Shane is not mentioning Malik Monk. Similar to a guy in our Discord named Dan, who is, I think he might be best friends with Malik, or he is Malik because he talks about Malik like he's MJ. Malik, though, was incredible in this game. I thought he brought a level of energy. You need guys like him on your team, especially during these times, because like he's gonna come in and he's gonna play hard. Like he's gonna come in and get the energy going. He's not gonna be shy. He's gonna launch shots. He's gonna attack. He had a couple nice jams. He was active. And the Kings bench, to me, did a great job keeping it competitive because the starters were not getting anything going, from Fox to HB to Keegan. We'll talk about later. Like none of those guys had anything going in this game.
No, and they were a big story of this game, and it was great to see Malik Monk have that type of game when it was needed most. And you're exactly right. I think sometimes we expected Terrence Davis to be that energy guy off the bench, but there's something different, obviously, what Malik Monk can do as a player and what Terrence Davis can do as a player on a consistent level as well. And Malik, just the way that he was driving aggressively to the basket with authority, and when he had those throwdowns, it was like, okay, everyone felt a little bit more energy, and then a mistake would happen and people felt deflated again. What are you laughing about?
I just realized I'm holding up a carton. People are gonna be like, are you drinking milk? No, it is a box of water, just so you know. I picked up this on the way to San Francisco today. And every time I take a sip, people are looking at me. No one really knows me at NBC because I'm never in that building.
Yeah.
And they're like, is that guy drinking milk?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like I'm drinking milk.
I mean, doesn't everyone know box water by now, though?
I don't think it's a common thing. I don't think people are walking around with box waters all the time. Have you had one of these before?
Yeah.
You have?
Oh.
I've never had one.
Seriously?
No.
Oh, I thought it was like a thing, and I think that there should be more, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different story. I thought Monk was great tonight. Monk in the game finishing with 27 points on 12 of 18, 3 of 7 shooting from downtown. And I thought he was really good tonight. He kept them in the game, kept them competitive. So halftime, though, you get there, and they're down 72-58. And I'm watching that game going, do they have anything left in the tank? Mm-hmm. Because everything was short. Fox couldn't make anything. HB, who coming into tonight was just unbelievable over the last 7 games. During the win streak, I was looking at his numbers. It was like 18 points a game, 59% shooting, 40 plus from 3, 91% from the line. He really is starting to put it together. He gives you 8 tonight. I thought Keegan's in a funk and a half, and I'm trying to figure out what the Kings can do to get him out of that. Maybe should we talk about that now or later?
I want to continue into
sorry.
the
I'm
72.
all over the place.
Yeah, it's okay. Before we get to Harrison and Keegan, because what happened with the 72-point first half and then what we saw in that third quarter.
So that's to me when it changed. I felt like the Kings came out with a different level of intensity in the third quarter. In a way, it was really disappointing for me because that needs to happen from the jump.
Absolutely.
Especially on a night where your offense isn't going, create some offense for yourself by getting some stops. Like when I see this team play engage defense like they did in the second half, and some of it the Hawks just missed shots today. Collins was 0 for 8 from 3. That's not going to happen. But there was a different level of physicality and competitiveness on the defensive end in the second half where I'm going, guys, you're not good enough to take a first quarter off.
And I don't think it was like an effort thing. I truly believe it was just not being fully engaged, like not understanding, hey, you have to push through a different level. And you saw them push through when they started that third quarter and they started that second half. And the way that even Chimezie Metu was coming up in a double and you just saw him a lot more energetic and engaged. Yeah. And then I think a story of the second half was really Davion Mitchell and the way that he got up and Trae Young to try and make his life much more harder.
Yeah, Davion Mitchell brought it defensively in that second half. And starting the third quarter, he comes into the game about the 8:38 mark the 9:08 mark of the turnover deuce. The Kings had 19 turnovers. I've had a couple because I'm reading my wrong notes. Third quarter, rewind, pretend none of that just happened. Third quarter, Mitchell comes in at the 6:49 mark.
Got it.
Instantly, he is in DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
And then Trae Young comes in. He's into Trae Young. He was all over him, and all of a sudden, you felt a shift in the game. Oh, the Kings are defending now? Like, he's really being physical.
The tone was being set.
It was an incredible tone. And then all of a sudden, the Kings are back into the game. So they go from down 72 to 58. They cut it to single digits halfway through the third quarter. 85-76. Got down to 85-79 at the 5-minute mark after a Monk 3.
There were so many times that they were right there. And then they would still make their mistakes. The Hawks, like you said in the beginning of this podcast, were like, here, take it from us. We're going to take a shitty three, John Collins from 3-point land and actually not move the ball around. And we're going to miss these bunnies. But here, take it. What are you going to do on the other end? You started seeing guys turn it over, mishandle the ball, miscommunications happen. Just those little things. When you're tired, when you're fatigued, they were all happening and they just couldn't push through and really feed off of the energy that guys like Davion Mitchell were giving them, especially on the defensive end. They couldn't capitalize on it to the fullest. And it was frustrating, but at the same time, I was very happy with the effort that was there.
Yeah, the effort for sure. And one of the plays you were talking about, or one of the examples to your point about the mental miscues, it just felt like they were terrible at when they got a stop or something, a missed shot, whatever, pushing the ball ahead. How many times did they turn the ball over in that situation?
I think of Trey Lyles when he was like,
that was the no. Yeah. It's 89-80 at the 2:54 mark. Monk tries to get it to Lyles in transition, off his hands,
fumbles it,
and then the Hawks hit a 3.
Oh, yeah.
Swing plays.
Yep.
There were so many of those swing plays. But the Kings, with all that said, end of third quarter, they outscored them 31-25 in the third, and it was 97-88 headed into the fourth quarter. So you're feeling like, all right, it's still like kind of in striking distance. The Hawks were literally going, hey, it's Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. Here, take the game. You want the game? Here, it's all yours.
Yeah.
The Kings couldn't take it away. The fourth quarter numbers are absurd when you looked at I put out the tweet about it. I'm going to scroll down and bring it up on the screen right now because it was pretty crazy to look at what the Hawks did in the fourth quarter. Atlanta had 18 points in the quarter. They had 7 turnovers on 5 of 18 shooting. There was one stretch, they were like 1 of 9 to start in the fourth, and the Kings could not close the gap because on the other end, the Kings got ice cold in the fourth quarter too. It continued. They had 18 points, so they matched them. 6 turnovers, 7 of 20 shooting. And I felt like even when they were closing the gap in that quarter, it seemed like you had those issues where it's like mental miscues. Oh, there's a Terrence Davis
That's
travel.
what it was.
There's a Terrence Davis bad pass. There's a Fox bad pass in there.
And so now this is the thing that you and I kind of talked about on the post game too is why you can talk about it like this and not be frustrated about this loss, because you have to see how this team responds. That's how they respond against the Celtics. That means how they respond just in back-to-backs going forward. How are they going to make themselves better? They're human. There's going to be times like you just don't have it on a trip or whatever it's going to be. But there's also other things you can do within just your conditioning in the off season and understanding, oh, we just got so much better as a team. So how much better can I get as an individual with my off-season training in my conditioning? Just little things like that. If you want it, you can have it as a team. And that's what I hope that they learn from a loss like this.